to Teacher Talks, where we explore issues that teachers face related to the gender industry. I'm Erin Brewer.
And I'm Maria Keffler. And today I have a question about pronouns, about dealing with pronouns in the classroom.
That is a big topic. A lot of times students who are identifying as transgender approach their teacher and insist on the teacher calling them by a different name and pronouns. It can really put the teacher in a bind if they don't feel comfortable using those pronouns. A lot of teachers feel like it's their responsibility to reflect truth and be honest and use appropriate grammar as well. And using alternative pronouns really undermines that for teachers. And so what would you suggest if a student comes up to a teacher and says, I'm transgender now, I want you to use Zer pronouns. Or if a girl comes up and says, I'm now a man, I want you to use him, he, him pronouns. What advice would you give to teachers in that situation?
Well, I think an important thing to keep in mind is that we're talking about third person pronouns. These are the pronouns that you use to refer to someone essentially when they're not there, or if you're speaking about them. So ideally, they shouldn't come up that often. However, occasionally they will. Occasionally you'll be speaking to a student in your class about another student who is present. Some possibilities are avoiding pronouns altogether, simply using proper names. This can be a little cumbersome. We have pronouns to help us communicate more easily, but if it becomes an issue, I can just always refer to Erin Brewer as Erin. Erin, what do you think about this? John, what do you think about what Erin said? And just stick with the proper names.
Another solution is to use the last names, because last names tend to be neutral. And oftentimes these young people who decide to identify as transgender or non-binary choose a new first name, but they retain their legal last name. And so using last names with students can do two things. It can, first of all, it can allow the teacher not to use the preferred name a student is insisting upon, but it also allows them to refer to that student with that last name rather than with pronouns. As you said, it can be cumbersome at times. And we do have a situation where a teacher was compelled to use the pronouns that a student wanted. And actually the student was in danger and the teacher yelled out, "Don't let her hit the wall." And this was a female student who wanted to go by male pronouns, and the teacher actually got in trouble for that. And so if you're in a school where you're being compelled to use a child's preferred pronouns, then it's going to be a decision that you have to make. And it can be a difficult one because there's a chance that if you don't capitulate to these demands, that you could face repercussions. However, I think it's important for us to be willing to stand by truth. As teachers, it's really our job to teach students what the truth is, what is real, what isn't real. And if we accept the absurd proposition that a child can be born in the wrong body, and that the only solution to that is to allow them to, feminize or masculinize their appearance, then we're really undermining reality for all of our students.
Another thing that's important to think about is, what are the logical ramifications? What's the logical conclusion of everyone choosing their own pronoun? If you have 5 classes with 30 students in each class, that's 150 kids. And if each child has a new name and a new pronoun, and you are expected as their teacher to remember and use those correctly, that's not possible.
Yeah, and those are pronouns such as ze, zer, zem, per, self, ze, zai, zer. A student can make up pronouns and even change them within the day based on this ideology. And so I would caution teachers to not buy into it in the first place, because as soon as you give them, even a toe in the door, then they just push in with full force. And the next thing you know, you are having to use these absurd pronouns for all of your students. And it's really not where your energy should be as a teacher. You shouldn't be having to focus on pronouns when you want to be educating our children.
I think that's a great point. And I think we need to be telling our administrators that as well, that this is making my job as a teacher, as a communicator, untenable, difficult. This is taking focus away from my content area. This is taking focus away from facts and reality. And I'm not comfortable with this.
I think that's a really good point. It's a reasonable argument just to say, this is a waste of my energy and efforts, and it's also not true. And as teachers, again, we need to be standing up for our students, and really by using these preferred pronouns or neo pronouns for a few of our students, we're undermining our efforts to be good authority figures for the rest of the students.